island of Roatan, a spectacular marine park. In the wild blue waters of the Caribbean Sea, north of mainland Honduras, bounded by the world's second largest barrier reef, Roatan is a must for divers and undersea explorers, mingling with dazzling marine creatures, graceful predators, masters of disguise, and venomous reef invaders. A nighttime journey of unworldly discovery, magnificent underwater vistas, and ghostly relics claimed by the power of the sea. The island of Roatan, a haven of unbridled natural beauty. 40 miles off the north coast of Honduras, in the warm blue waters of the Caribbean Sea. The largest of the Bay Islands, Roatan is ringed by the Mesoamerican Reef System, a spectacular and diverse coral atoll, second in size only to Australia's Great Barrier Reef. Mesoamerica comes from the Latin, meaning Middle America. Vibrant blue waters, far-reaching visibility, and stunning undersea caverns have made Roatan an underwater mecca for divers and explorers.
The main attraction for scuba divers in Roatan is the fact that we're still diving very pristine reef conditions. Many parts of the world, they're heavily inundated with scuba divers, and the reef system starts to take a little bit of a beating. But because we're fairly isolated and fairly remote, our reef system is still in very, very good condition. We have caves, we have crevices, we have some beautiful, beautiful sloping walls, and we also have some very exciting vertical walls.
Currents colliding with the reef surge upward, carrying cold, nutrient-rich water to the surface. These nutrients fertilize the sunlit waters, creating a bloom of plankton, the microscopic marine plants and creatures that support the entire oceanic food chain. Roatan's vivid coral forests gleam with tropical fish, feasting on billions of plankton. More than 90% of all species in the Caribbean can be found here in the Bay Islands. From deep blue tang and poisonous pufferfish to powerful ocean predators like the Caribbean reef shark. But beyond the flourishing marine life and magnificent drowned cliffs, one of Roatan's most mysterious sights lies beneath its deep blue waters. A ghost ship, 145 feet long, rests in a sandy Caribbean grave, 50 feet below the surface. The wreck of the Prince Albert.
Within 10 minutes of your dive, you're right next to a huge wreck that's only in 65 feet of water. And I've heard people say in a lot of places, you know, wrecks, you have to go so deep. This is one of the most pristine, shallowest wrecks you'll find on the island.
In the early 1980s, the Prince Albert arrived in Roatan from Nicaragua, carrying war refugees. The ship was abandoned and fell into disrepair. The founder of a local dive shop saw an opportunity to attract more dive tourists to Roatan. And the ship was intentionally sunk as an artificial reef more than 30 years ago. The Prince Albert was the first of many ships in the Bay Islands to be used as a man-made reef.
A properly prepared shipwreck or a properly prepared item that's sunk in the water can really become a habitat for many species. The wreck of the Prince Albert is a perfect example. A beautiful, vibrant, healthy reef system growing on a wreck in shallow waters.
What was once an island freighter has been claimed by the sea. Sprouting with lush sea fans, the Prince Albert has morphed into its own ecosystem, a vibrant habitat for an abundance of marine life. An estimated 30 species of fish inhabit the iron wreck. A small shoal of cardinal fish whipped through the belly of the ship. Reconditioned by 3 decades of corrosion, currents, and tropical storms, the Prince Albert is an undersea garden, as much a part of the lifeblood of Roatan as the natural reef systems and rock channels that provide shelter for a myriad of fish. Off the bow of the Prince Albert lies another ghostly relic, the empty shell of a sunken Second World War DC-3 aircraft. In 1990, the plane was wrecked after skidding off the runway at Roatan Airport. Like the Prince Albert, the plane was sunk intentionally as an artificial reef. Willowy sea fans, anchored to the wreck, spread out their tentacles to snare plankton floating in the current. Like the Prince Albert, this pallid and skeletal aircraft harbors a wide range of marine creatures. Striped sergeant majors lay their eggs, as many as 200,000 inside the wreck, and forcefully protect them from potential predators. A spotted moray eel, seeking refuge from the dangers of the open ocean, pokes out of the fuselage. The eel's flattened body is specifically designed to retreat into tight spaces.
Morays are always moving their mouth, always opening and shutting their mouth. They do that constantly because they need to oxygenate their bodies, and that's how they do it. If they're not free swimming, then they still need the salt water circulating through their gills so they can oxygenate their bodies.
The spotted moray feeds primarily on small fish and crustaceans. Like the deadly creature in the Alien films, morays have two sets of jaws. The first closes on unwary prey, snaring them with sharp, backward-pointing teeth. A second set of toothy jaws then drags the kill down its throat. With no food in sight, the spotted moray recedes inside the aircraft. The ashen wreckage of the DC-3 is home to even stranger predators. A giant plant-like anemone, its mouth surrounded by dozens of tentacles, hunkers down on the debris in wait of passing fish. Prey is paralyzed by toxins in the anemone's tentacles, then swiftly carried to the mouth, where it is swallowed whole. Farther along the wreck, another ocean predator cruises slowly through the shallow water. The grouper. Among the largest fish in the sea, Atlantic Goliath groupers can reach weights of 790 pounds, the same body mass as a Kodiak bear. But this grouper is not here to eat. Instead, it touches down on the wreck and waits to be cleaned. A small remora, or suckerfish, nibbles away at troublesome parasites on the grouper's skin. Cleaner fish are essential to the health of the grouper. Removing, then eating, not just parasites, but dead tissue that is formed on the skin. Beyond Roatan's dreamlike wrecks, a powerful predator, more imposing than the grouper, lurks in the clear blue water.
You know, a lot of people mistakenly think that the Bay Islands of Honduras does not have an active shark population. We actually have a significant number of sharks around the island.
Divers are drawn here, intent on getting close to one of the ocean's most intimidating predators, the Caribbean reef shark. As the name suggests, Caribbean reef sharks are largely found near the edges of coral reefs, in coastal waters no deeper than 100 feet. Sleek and graceful, they are the reef's enforcers. Acute eyesight, a keen sense of smell, and specialized organs that detect electrical currents created by prey make the Caribbean reef shark one of the ocean's most potent predators. These sharks feed mainly on reef-dwelling bony fish and larger creatures such as the eagle ray. Prey is seized by a quick snap of the shark's crushing jaw, then finished off by sharp, serrated teeth. Low-frequency sounds indicative of struggling fish attract these reef sharks, as does the presence of fishing boats.
Local fishermen know for a fact that the sharks have been here forever because you rarely catch a fish and get it back on board because a shark will eat it.
Though dangerous predators, reef sharks rarely attack humans. When threatened or cornered, the shark dips its pectoral fins and makes short, sharp turns in the water, an archetypal display of aggression. Neither threatened nor provoked, these sharks cruise serenely over the reef. A thrilling yet potentially nerve-wracking experience for divers who must remain vigilant when swimming with a shoal of hungry sharks.
We've entered into their environment. The sharks have always been in this location. We're watching 20 very docile, beautiful, big sharks swim around us. We have to remember that these are animals that are the apex predators in these waters.
But even an apex predator is not immune to the shark sucker, or remora. Attached to the shark by a suction cup on top of its head, the remora appears to be a parasite, though it actually picks parasites from the shark and feeds on scraps of food left behind by the host.
What they're doing is they're literally saving their energy by hooking on and taking a little ride with the shark. And then any little piece of food that falls out of the shark's mouth, the remora run over there and they eat it up as fast as they can, and then they hook back on.
Ancient creatures that predate even the dinosaurs, sharks evolved about 450 million years ago. Yet their survival has become threatened in just a matter of decades. An estimated 70 million sharks are killed each year, caught accidentally in fishing lines, killed illegally to meet the demand for shark fins, and hunted senselessly as trophies. 1/3 of shark species are threatened with extinction. Towering at the top of the oceanic food chain, sharks help to control the population of their prey species. Without sharks, too many prey would survive, competing for food and upsetting the delicate ocean ecosystem. Here in Roatan, a single voracious predator has already disrupted the fragile balance of life on the reef. A venomous lionfish, its ornate pectoral fins rippling in the current, clings to the coral-encrusted reef. Lionfish are native to the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Here in the tropical Atlantic, they are an invasive species, accidentally introduced to these waters more than 20 years ago. With few natural predators and high reproductive rates, lionfish populations have exploded in the clear waters off Honduras.
Lionfish are everywhere. We see them in shallow areas. We see them as deep as 100, 200 feet of water, and I think they're here to stay. They're known for their voracious appetite. They don't stop eating. They're constantly eating down there.
Non-selective eaters, lionfish have been known to consume as many as 50 different species of fish, ambushing and cornering prey with their long pectoral fins. As their population grows exponentially, lionfish threaten the survival of native species, like grouper and snapper, as well as the small grazing fish that prevent algae and seaweed from overrunning the reef. Slow-moving, easy to spot, lionfish fend off would-be hunters with the venomous sting of their needle-like dorsal fins. Predators, however, are scarce, and the ongoing lionfish invasion leaves the ecological health of the reef hanging in the balance. It is the largest barrier reef in the Western Hemisphere, the Mesoamerican Reef. stretching nearly 700 miles from the northern tip of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, south to the Honduran Bay Islands. The reef is home to rippling sea fans and more than 60 species of coral, including large brain corals that can live as long as 900 years. The reef provides shelter for more than 500 species of fish, including some of the Caribbean Sea's most strange and surprising creatures, such as the scrawled filefish. Feeding mainly on algae and coral, the filefish is able to protect itself from predators by diving quickly into a crevice, then erecting spines on its head and belly that lock the fish into the tight space, making it difficult for predators to pluck it from the reef. With a whip of its broom-like tail, the filefish is gone. An inflatable porcupine fish, able to more than double its size by taking in air and water, maneuvers over the coral bed. In the distance, past a field of branch coral, an ultramarine cloud glides over the reef. Blue tang, in search of algae, which is ripped from the coral by sharp teeth. Blue tang are essential to the health of the reef, eating algae and preventing it from overgrowing and suffocating the coral. The tang, named for their dangerous razor-sharp tail spines, swim in schools as another defense against predators. A thick and compact school, swimming in unison, will appear as a single large creature to a poor-sighted hunter. The more fish in the school, the more eyes there are to scan the reef for algae. And where there are blue tang, there are often trumpetfish. Shrewd hunters, trumpetfish follow the tang, seizing on the small fish, startled out of the reef by the swarming schools of tang. Hovering among the sea rods, the trumpetfish swims vertically, with its head down, to blend in with coral on the reef. Unsuspecting fish that venture too close are sucked into its waiting mouth. When the powerful mouth is fully extended, it resembles the bell of a trumpet. Closer to the surface floats an even craftier master of disguise, the Caribbean reef squid. In a single heartbeat, reef squid are able to change color and pattern, to stalk prey, avoid predators, and warn off competitors. Thousands of color-changing cells just below the surface of the skin are controlled by muscles that generate distinct colors to communicate specific messages. A male reef squid is able to turn red on one side to attract females and blue on the other to fend off a rival male. On the south shore of Roatan, a pristine sun-mottled reef stretches near the surface. This is Tullio's Reef, named for a popular dive master, well known in these parts, and home to a bounty of marine creatures. A tiny cavern offers refuge to a Caribbean spiny lobster, its shell lined with hard protective spines. Though it lacks the crushing pincers of its clawed cousins, it waves menacing barbed antennae longer than its entire body to ward off potential predators. Predators like the green moray eel, a band of muscle thicker than a human arm. The eel slinks into the darkened reef. More than 7 feet long, the moray can stretch from floor to ceiling. A long, flapping dorsal fin, its only mechanism for swimming. The eel spends its days hiding between rocks to seize unsuspecting fish and crustaceans in its devilish teeth.
Green morays have a lot of teeth, and their teeth are facing like inwards, so when they grab something, it's gonna be very hard for that prey to get or to set free from their mouth. Once they catch a little fish, that little fish is done.
Life on the reef is a constant search for food. A long snout seahorse, no larger than a human thumb, grips a gorgonian with its monkey-like tail. The slender body of the seahorse allows it to wriggle into small crevices in the reef, where it survives on larval shrimp and small crustaceans. But food is not the only key to survival. For a species to flourish, its genes must be passed on to the next generation. A pudding wife wrasse releases her eggs into the current, and a frantic race ensues. Males release a cloud of sperm in an attempt to fertilize the eggs. It is a spawning frenzy that lasts just seconds. Only the fastest and strongest fish prevail. Drifting along Roatan's warm currents is an ancient creature that has prevailed for more than 500 million years. Even though it has no brain, no bones, and no heart. The moon jellyfish, contracting its umbrella-like body to move up and down the water column. The moon jelly, like all jellyfish, has long, thin tentacles, capable of firing thousands of stinging cells to paralyze prey. The tentacles carry the stunned prey, mainly small fish and shrimp, to the moon jelly's mouth, located inside the smooth bag-like body. Though deadly to small marine creatures, the sting of the moon jelly has little effect on humans. Gently pulsing, casting a faint luminescent glow, the moon jelly floats serenely with the currents, as its ancestors have since before the age of the dinosaurs. The Mesoamerican reef off the south shore of Honduras teems with life. But there is more to the reef than the hundreds of marine creatures that have made it their home. Over thousands of years, cycles of glaciation and the rising and falling of sea levels have forged a stunning underwater world of caves, tunnels and crevices. Natural cathedrals knitted with coral near the bottom of the ocean. At Roatan, a spectacular geological formation has become a must for advanced divers seeking to explore the remnants of an ancient world, Kelvin's Crack. Divers must enter vertically, head down, through a crevice no wider than a car door, and into an underwater chamber 100 feet deep. The crack is just 10 feet wide, and those that dive here must have good buoyancy control to avoid bumping into and damaging the fragile reef. Divers kick through the shadowy undersea channel. Over thousands of years, the coral structure has continued to grow over the opening, creating an overhang of soft corals. Over time, the coral will grow over the top, sealing in the crevice system. For now, light from the surface penetrates the chasm, a perfect harmony of sea and sky.
I just love the play of light. I love seeing new divers doing their first crevice or crack dive because their eyes are bugged out. They're all excited about this. They've done it. They've succeeded in diving Kelvin's Crack.
Fissures in the reef, caused by erosion from rainwater thousands of years ago when these limestone cliffs were above sea level, harbor a number of undersea creatures. Here, in the labyrinthine chambers of Mary's Spot, "100 feet below the surface, a channel-clinging crab fastens to a technicolor maze of coral. Bristle-like hairs on the shell catch bits of algae, sponge, and coral, allowing the crab to blend in almost seamlessly with the reef. During the day, the channel-clinging crab hides out in tiny caves and under ledges, but soon it will be night, and the crab will emerge to forage for food. At the exit of Mary's Spot, divers return to a pure blue ocean. But as the sun descends on Roatan, a profound transformation unfolds in these crystal clear waters. Nighttime on the reef is a different world. In the darkened depths, new and unusual creatures appear.
As we go deeper, and deeper, we start seeing other residents of the night.
A striped burrfish, its rounded body covered in short, sharp spines, uses its large bulbous eyes to keep watch over the grassy seabed. Hard sandpaper-like teeth allow it to crush the shells of one of its favorite foods, the hermit crab. Sea flies, illuminated by the light of the camera, flit through the water. Hermit crabs are nocturnal creatures that emerge from their daytime hideout to forage on the seabed. Unlike other crabs, which produce their own calcium carbonate shells, the hermit protects its soft and vulnerable abdomen by squeezing into the empty shell of a marine snail. As the hermit crab grows, it will abandon its home for a better fit, passing the discarded shell down to smaller crabs. The hermit crab is an omnivorous scavenger, using its pincers to sift through sand as it searches for food. Longer antennae are used for feeling, the shorter pair for smelling and tasting. Hermits are known to form symbiotic relationships with sea anemones. The anemone will sit atop the crab, warding off predator fish with its toxic tentacles. In turn, the anemone gets a free ride and scraps of food left behind by the crab. A banded coral shrimp waves its long white antennae, an invitation to passing fish looking to be cleaned of parasites by its 3 sets of claws. At the wreck of the Prince Albert lies one of the ocean's most unusual creatures, the tiger-tail sea cucumber. Stretching more than 6 feet, the tiger tail is the largest sea cucumber in the western Atlantic. All sea cucumbers live in the ocean and are related to both sea stars and sea urchins. With no brain and no eyes, the tiger tail relies on a ring of neural tissue around its mouth to detect threats. Like all members of the species, this furry sea cucumber breathes by drawing oxygenated water in through the anus and then expelling it. Sea cucumbers feed on algae, plankton, and decaying matter found in the sea, often sifting through sediment on the seabed for food. The furry sea cucumber is more mobile than most and can move swiftly by crawling or simply rolling across the ocean floor. Barely visible on the ocean floor, a camouflaged hunter lies in wait. The common octopus. One of the few creatures on Earth able to alter its appearance in a flash. Thousands of organs, controlled by nerves, form patterns, colors, and shapes on the skin that match the surrounding rocks and coral.
They can change their color, their pattern with lightning speed. so fast that sometimes you can't believe it. I'm sure there's been 1,000 octopus that I have swam right over on the reef, but I just simply didn't see them.
During the day, the octopus hides out in coral overhangs on the reef. At night, it comes out to hunt, using an inventive technique called tenting.
They form a tent with their 8 legs and the skin that is between those legs. They actually form a big tarp over a coral head, and the fish are startled and they swim up into this net that the octopus has created. And then he can pull his prey in and eat it, and they're usually eating it on the move. They're voracious feeders, and so while they're eating one, they've got 7 other tentacles that they're out there hunting with.
When catching prey, such as crabs and mollusks, the octopus grips them with powerful arms studded with suckers, then paralyzes them with nerve poison secreted in its saliva. Perfectly adapted to its surroundings, the octopus has 3 hearts. 2 pump blood to the gills. The 3rd keeps circulation flowing to the organs. When the octopus swims, the 3rd heart stops beating. By crawling across the coral, the octopus conserves precious energy. In the dark of night, the octopus squeezes, somewhat miraculously, into a tight crevice in the coral, finding a hiding place in the depths of Roatan's magnificent barrier reef, as its ancestors have for millions of years. From ghostly sunken relics and stunning underwater vistas to powerful predators and kaleidoscopes of tropical fish, Roatan is a portal to another world among the reefs. And one of the many wonders of the Great Blue Wild.
You want to go diving at 2 in the morning, you want to go diving at 10 at night, you want to do a night dive, all you have to do is walk off the shore, swim about 100 yards, and you are on 2 of the most pristine reefs in the Caribbean. If you're talking about diving in the Bay Islands of Honduras, you're talking about the sort of variety that you might not find anywhere else in the Caribbean. It's one of those pristine, lovely places that just almost feel mysteriously mythical. I mean, you're in a little slice of heaven.